the environment is something that people on both sides of the political spectrum want to protect. We all want a beautiful, wonderful natural environment that we can enjoy with our loved ones and that we can leave behind for our children. I don't think that anyone wants to destroy our streams, our rivers, our flora, our fauna, our wonderful habitat that we have here. And I think that it's not a good place to try to paint the other side as being so anti-nature, because that's not true. And I think that it is absolutely possible to have a better dialogue, and it's not good to personify nature so much, because nature is not a beautiful woman. A beautiful woman is part of nature, but nature is absolutely not a beautiful woman. Nature is tiny little parasites that burrow into your eyeball after you go swimming in the river and then lay eggs in your brain. Right? Nature is random bacteria and fungal infections that can kill you in days. Nature is the ever-encroaching grasp of anything and everything that can fill the space, that possibly can. Every species on the planet, every plant is trying to choke out all the other organisms around it, unless they happen to work symbiotically through coincidence, mostly. It's trying to win for itself. And that's what people are trying to do. People are just trying to make a space and a life and a home for themselves as comfortable as they possibly can. And in doing this, we have to deal with things like energy. And whether it's chopping down trees to burn wood, or digging up coal out of the ground, or nuclear power, we have to get the energy. And any time it seems like we do, we have people that have this image of this beautiful, buxom young lass we talked about, Mother Nature, who were going out and were just ripping into her and shredding into her and digging up these fuels and burning them and gassing her out. And they conjure up this demonic characterization of the other side. And so when we need to harness these forms of energy from the natural world, and we see people screaming in protest and rioting and trying to stop pipelines and just acting absolutely appalled at the thought that you think it could be a good idea, it's because these people have forgotten, due to the wonders of modern technology, due to the wonderful comforts of our current society, they've forgotten that nature is not just Mother Nature, it's also death and destruction and constant battle and chaos and competition. Nature is a brutal, harsh place if you're not prepared. And if you have all the proper clothes and equipment and your nice fancy stuff, you go foray out for a few minutes on a hike, wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful Mother Nature. But when you're cold in the middle of winter and you don't have your natural gas piped in, or you don't have your space heater or central heating or whatever to plug in, and you actually have to go and fight Mother Nature to stay alive instead of just having that take place silently for you, which is what's happening now, right? People only see the beautiful feminine Mother Nature side of nature, and they don't ever see when they have to fight nature for resources that it's actually a scary beast. And so they have this idea that Mother Nature just needs to be preserved and protected at all costs, no matter what. And of course they say all that while comfortably using their laptop and their iPhone to shitpost that, which is of course made of plastics, rare metals, dug from deep down in the ground by men with huge machines and strong backs. And they have no appreciation for that. And they want to demonize anyone who would combat the beautiful, lovely Mother Nature. So that's how that happens, right? Is this soft world these people grow up in. And the unfortunate thing is that these people have a very loud, emphatic voice. Some of these people are beautiful young women, for example. Very often strong supporters of environmentalism, right? Because who doesn't want to support environmentalism for the beautiful Mother Nature? But of course, these young, beautiful women, among other people, will support this, but I think this is an important demographic because they have so much say in the world. They influence a lot of things. These young women who benefit the most from society in many ways and who are reaping huge amounts of benefits from society and who don't and who aren't expected, well, you're going to show me there's exceptions. Look at these female lumberjacks. But by and large, the women I'm talking about, they don't ever have to go out and fend for themselves in the natural world. At best, they've done some camping or hiking where they had probably $1,000 worth of equipment and goodies that kept them extreme. And I don't fault you for that. I'm not saying that you have to go hike with only a knife and a deer skin to be a real man or a real woman and to experience nature. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, take all your wonderful sleeping bags and your fancy cooking equipment and your stuff, and I think it's really good stuff to have. But if your only interaction with nature occurs in these very controlled circumstances that men have already battled nature in the background to produce, because there is no way to go have a nice, comfortable little weekend in nature without battling it. The only way you can do it is the same way you can eat a steak without ever butchering an animal, is by having other men do it for you in the background where you don't have to see it, you don't have to deal with it. And so other men will dig deep into the earth and mine all these different metals. Other men will dig deep into the earth and produce all these things, and men in factories will put all this stuff together and they will produce a wonderful little compact propane heater to heat your stuff when you're camping. They will sew together these plastic petroleum products into some type of insulatory fiber that they'll use for a sleeping bag, which will keep you warm even in freezing conditions, super nice and toasty. They'll do all this stuff, but it didn't come free. It wasn't just grown on wonderful trees that we all tended with love and care. Okay, it had to be hard fought and won and scraped from the ground. You're just not seeing it. You're not seeing it. All you see is beautiful, lovely Mother Nature, Gaia, the woman. And that's part of nature, but it's not all. And so you manifest this in being really loud and vocal about political issues that you have no understanding of. And you think that you just understand nature in a way that all these other people don't. You just have a genuine love and connection with nature in a way that, like a miner or a lumberjack. Lumberjacks aren't really connected to nature, man. They're cutting trees. Me, I'm a 22-year-old yogini. I'm actually very connected to nature. And you take that seeming connection with nature that you think you have because you like to go camping or whatever, and you then think that you have some special perspective on issues related to the environment, and you want to say, oh, we shouldn't have a pipeline, we shouldn't do natural gas, we shouldn't do nuclear power, but oh, we shouldn't do hydropower either, it hurts the beavers. Oh, we shouldn't do anything. I mean, I do on my iPhone, though. Yeah, right, there's just no connection of thinking about any of this stuff, right? And the reality is, of course, if you take one of these women and try to get her to do subsistence farming, where you wake up first thing in the morning and spend all day trying to scratch a living from the land around you without harming Mother Nature, right? And maybe even living a vegetarian diet while doing it, which is near impossible. How are you going to feel at the end of the day? Well, as someone who has actually done back-breaking all-day labor, who has done subsistence farming, I'm going to tell you, it's rather difficult. It's fucking challenging. You will perspire in a way you have probably never perspired, working in the sun all day long, doing labor. And I don't want you to have to do that. I don't think people should have to do that. I think that the millions of people who would die, probably hundreds of millions of people who would die without fossil fuels, for example, without nuclear power to heat their homes, imagine all the old people that would die in the first 2 weeks or less if we just say, oh, we're just going to go back to living off the land, man, everybody can wear sweaters. It's just people's lives that you are trading up for this stuff. And it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And while I want to preserve and protect the environment, we have to recognize that we have to make trades, okay? And constantly, every time in life, you breathe, you move, you exist, you drive down the road, you're in your apartment, you are fighting other species for space. You don't think about it, but look around the room you're in, right, where you're watching this presentation. How many other species live in that room? Unless you have some pets, which you choose to keep there, probably just one. No insects, no birds, no little mammals, just you. You fought for that space. Doesn't feel like it because it's just been handed to you. But someone fought for it. And that's my message for this video, is that if you have no concept of what it takes to really exist in nature, then please try to reserve your opinions about people who actually have to interact with it. And maybe even have some respect for the men primarily, and also women, who interact directly with nature and fight it tooth and nail for the wonderful benefits we have today. That's about all. Thank you.